This is Kanye West exclusive. Rapper tells Tucker Carlson story behind White Lives Matter shirt. Can't help but laugh when I hear that thing, White Lives Matter, like it's something I didn't think I would ever see anyone actually do it. Now there was a song from Burden where he basically said that. You couldn't do that because it wouldn't fit the narrative. I did a reaction to that, but I had heard that some people were actually receiving strikes from doing his music, and I was like, no, thank you. I won't even worry about trying to do reactions to his music then.
Week in Paris, West, accompanied by his friend Candace Owens, unveiled a T-shirt that read simply, "White Lives Matter." The response from the fashion industry and international media was instantaneous and uniform. Shock, horror, rage. There is no excuse for this, thundered the New York Times. West is legitimizing extremism, shrieked Rolling Stone, etc., etc.
You know, I was almost going to say where's the proof, but it is because of TYT. Don't look at that rule and say, well, I have the freedom to wear whatever I want or not wear whatever I don't want. You know what I'm saying? So that doesn't work. Each establishment has the right to say, you know, you have to abide by these simple guidelines or you cannot shop here. So you have to have a shirt and you have to have shoes on. You know what I'm saying? So they have the right to do that. It is their store. If a restaurant wants to say you cannot use foul language in our restaurant, while you're in that restaurant, you have to abide by those guidelines. If you're in there cussing like a sailor and you have, you know, families around and you have, you know, even, you know, what if a church wanted to go out to a restaurant on a Sunday or something after church? They'd say, let's go to all you can eat restaurant, right? And then they go there and then there's someone in there cussing like a sailor. The restaurant owners is going to come up and they're going to say, if you keep doing that, we're going to have to ask you to leave. You cannot use that type of language in here. All right. It is inappropriate to use that language around other people who may not find it appealing. All right. To put it simply, the restaurant has the right to dictate to people how they behave in their restaurant. You know, and that's the way I look at SNL. It is basically their store. They have the right to say, you know, you can't say whatever you want on our show. It is our show. So if Kanye West left the building and then someone came up to him and told him, you still can't say that, even though we have nothing to do with what you're talking about now, you still can't say it. Now you're in a position of trying to take away his First Amendment right. All right. He would be out of their control over what happens on their platform. All right. So that's a big distinction to make there. Kicking Donald Trump off Twitter was not taking away his First Amendment right. It was taking away his ability to post on their platform, not on all platforms. All right, at least not to my knowledge. If Instagram wanted to ban him, they could. Anybody who has a platform like that, they can ban anybody for any reason. It's their platform. They make the rules. So you have to abide by each platform's terms of service. All right. If you don't, they have the right to censor you, to take your videos down, to do whatever they want. You're on their platform. If you go into a Walmart and you're swearing and acting a fool or doing whatever else, they have the right to kick you out of their store. It's as simple as that.
And good, amen. I agree.
I don't care about people's responses. I care about the fact that there's more black babies being aborted than born in New York City at this point. That 50% of black death in America is abortion. So I really don't care about people's responses. I perform for an audience of one, and that's God.
I'm starting to see why they want to make you be quiet. When did you start to feel this way? When did you start to realize this?
Now look, that was something I just addressed too. They were trying to make him be quiet. You know what I'm saying? We're not going to do that. All right. If someone is going to have legitimate opinions, all right, and they're being sincere, I'm going to show it. All right, from either side. It does not matter to me.
I really felt like, I think I started to really feel this need to express myself on another level when Trump was running for office, and I liked him.
Yes.
And every single person in Hollywood, from my ex-wife to my mother-in-law to my manager at that time to, you know, my so-called friends / handlers around me, told me, like, if I said that I liked Trump, that my career would be over, that my life would be over. They said stuff like people get killed for wearing a hat like that. They threatened my life. They put my life. They basically said that I would be killed for wearing the hat. I had someone call me last night and said anybody wearing a White Lives Matter shirt is going to be greenlit, and that means that they're going to beat them up if they wear it. And I'm like, you know, okay, green light me then. You know, God builds warriors in a different way. I don't know if it's because of me being born in Atlanta and growing up on the south side of Chicago that, you know,
You know, this is kind of odd to me, and I'm going to tell you why. All right. Most of the people that I watch anyways, and keep in mind, you know, the reaction channels I watch are mostly black people. They ain't rocking with Black Lives Matter, like, at all. So that's not the narrative that I'm getting. I understand the narrative he's trying to push. That's not what I'm seeing. All right. Now, maybe there is still a lot of people who supports it, but from what I've seen, most of the people just don't. They don't support it anymore.
made me for such a time like this. It's like with David, you know, he tended to the sheep, but while he was out there, he had to fight all kinds of animals. So when it was time for Goliath to come, he thought because he was a sheep herder that he didn't have the skill set to take down Goliath. And the thing that I have is the position, I have my heart, but the number one thing is we have God on our side. And for the people, even if you don't believe in God, God believes in you.
So you made reference to the White Lives Matter t-shirt, which you brought.
Now, what I'm thinking is the people that told him that were probably on the right, and that was their faulty assumption. As I said before, that the people on the left would, you know, want to attack people for wearing a shirt like that. It might be true. There might be some people like that, but as a whole, I don't see it. You know what I'm saying? I just don't. I could be wrong. If there's information about it, y'all let me know.
Out at Paris Fashion Week.
Yeah.
Why did you do that, and what did it mean?
You know, I do certain things from a feeling. I just channel the energy. It just feels right. It's using a gut instinct, a connection with God, and just brilliance. You know, like as if you asked like Tanya Harding how she did the triple flip or the triple.
It is brilliant. You know what I'm saying? No matter how you look at it, it starts to legitimize the movement as a whole to say, this group of people their lives matter, okay? So you can't just go out and persecute them specifically because of what they look like and think nobody's going to care. That's what the whole movement's all about. All right. To me, that's what that's what the whole thing means. All right. So no matter which way you want to spin it, white, Asian, black, anything, they all matter. Now, one thing that I get quite often is what should be all lives matter. I can understand that point, but there's a problem with that. And that is, if chickens could talk, would chickens say animals' lives matter, or would they say chickens' lives matter? If cows could talk, would they say cows' lives matter, or would they say all animals matter? They would say cows' lives matter. They would want to be specific and say, my life matters. Stop killing me specifically. That's why the slogan is Black Lives Matter. That's why it doesn't say all lives matter. They're trying to draw attention to a specific group of people and say, look, they're out here, doing whatever they want to, and the system doesn't seem to, persecute their assailants the same way they do if the victim is a different color. And if you really think that's not the case, do some research into it. Matter of fact, we will do some research into that. We will attempt to validate or discredit that narrative. All right. I think I think it's true. All right. I definitely think it's true. But we'll find out. We'll do some research on it.
Yeah. And she was in so much practice that when it was time for her to skate in a competitive format, it just happened. Like, it happened outside of practice. It happened in the real format. And that's what's happening is God is like preparing us for the real battles. And we are in a battle with the media. Like, the majority of the media has a godless agenda, and the jokes in that work, and this whole like, oh yeah, he's crazy, and all these things, they don't work because the media has, they've also watched travesties happen, just even specifically to me, and just watch it and act like it wasn't happening, and they stay quiet about it.
What have they?
I want to answer the white. Yeah. I feel like someone caught what I was saying, the comparison to Tanya Hardin about the White Lives Matter. My dad is an educated ex-Black Panther, and he put a text to me today. He said, "White Lives Matter, ha 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 ha." And I said, I thought the shirt was a funny shirt. I thought the idea of me wearing it was funny. And I said, "Dad, why do you think it was funny?" He said, just a Black man stating the obvious. Yeah. And
I think it's hilarious.
My dad doesn't listen to rap music, and he's like super educated. We opened up a water distribution center in the Dominican Republic together. He's like the original Steve Jobs, but he was getting blocked every which way with all of his ideas, and he didn't have an endless bank account, and he didn't have an Instagram. So all these ideas, he had to like take them back and compress them. Like, my dad is the most brilliant person that I know, and we actually have a strained relationship because I was.
Well, here's the thing, Kanye. You're a rapper. You could make music about this stuff and talk about anything you want. So if he's got music that talks about real world issues, put that in the comments and we'll take a look at it. Because right now, this is looking pretty good for Kanye. All right. I discredited him for a long time. I was like, he's just gone nuts. He's supporting the wrong team. That was my philosophy. I was like, I don't want to hear anything else he's got to say. He's just You know what I'm saying? He's just toast. But look, uh, maybe that was wrong of me. Maybe I was just, discrediting somebody who didn't need to be discredited. All right, could be. Uh, I know of one song he's got. I think it was Alien, or no, it was E.T. I think. I think it was E.T. Um, I absolutely love that song. That song went crazy. All right. We are definitely going to react to it since I'm thinking about it, or we'll do a review since I'm very familiar with the song. Uh, I don't think it needs any analysis done on it. It's a pretty simple concept. All right. But yeah, we'll check it out. We'll do a review on it, and we'll start looking into his music. Is he still making music? Y'all let me know that too.
Taken from him, because my mom was an actress, so she was a liberal. And my dad would see certain things and say, we should do it this way, we should do it that way. And the people got around my mom and pulled her away, much like, Kim is a Christian, but she has people who want her to go to Interview magazine and put her ass out while she's a 40-something-year-old multi-billionaire with 4 black children. And this is how fashion wants to, how they want to present her. So I know you give these questions, and I give you like these 3-part answers. Is this a cool format for you?
Yeah, I love it.
Following? Okay, cool.
And I am following it.
All right.
So you said that your father said when he saw the shirt, White Lives Matter, it's great to see a black man stating the obvious. So by which I think you meant that's obviously true.
Yeah, that's my favorite response, because I kept on thinking, like, people, they're looking for an explanation, and people say, well, as an artist, you don't have to give an explanation, but as a leader, you do.
Yes, I think that's right.
So the answer to why I wrote White Lives Matter on a shirt is because they do. It's the obvious thing.
Yeah. Why do you think?
And by that same token, y'all, that same token, he's just gave credibility to the statement Black Lives Matter. He's just gave credibility to that because it goes the same way, vice versa. You know what I'm saying? So there you go. That's why I said this is brilliant. It really is. Because anyone who supports this, you can then turn around and say, well, you should support that too. Ignoring everything else to do with all the negative stigma around it. The slogan by itself, Black Lives Matter, yes or no. Not anything to do with the riots, with the violence, with any of that stuff. Forget about all of that. That's not at the heart of the matter. The heart of the matter is, do you support Black Lives Matter? The slogan by itself, yes, obviously they matter. So, if someone is just saying Black Lives Matter, are you going to really disagree with them and say, oh, you're racist, it should be all lives matter? But then you turn around and you agree with White Lives Matter as a slogan? That don't make any sense. You can't support one without supporting the other. You know what I'm saying? Come on now.
I think that's so, and I assume the implication is, of course, all lives matter because they're lives, because God created them.
Right.
Yeah.
Why do you think that would be considered controversial?
Because the same people that have stripped us of our identity and labeled us as a color have told us what it means to be black and the vernacular that we're supposed to have. My dad grew up as a military brat, and his family moved around, but they were based mostly in Delaware. And at the time, if they weren't the only black family, they were one of the few. And he would be discriminated against because he was black. So by the time he got into college, he would be discriminated against. He went to a black college, he would be discriminated against because they said he talked too white.
Yes.
And then he played the kick drum in the band. So when he would go to the club and the music was playing, where would he clap his hands? Where the kick drum is.
Yeah.
So it's the opposite of where everyone else was clapping their hands. And this is the most elegant and tasteful person that I know. And when my mom, when the schools suggested, like the herding systems, because what they do is take the black community and they separate us, and they separate the families, and the educated, they push this, need for higher education, and us as blacks, we discriminate against each other and say, well, I got my PhD and you don't have your PhD, so I'm better than you. And so my mom, she had a PhD, and she was influenced to move to the south side of Chicago and take this job at Chicago State University. And she told my dad, if you come for us, you'll never see him again. Because, the media ridiculed me for getting the house next door to Kim to see my children. And they even said that I was stalking her and her new boyfriend because I bought the house next door to see my children. And that's how I knew that my mom had said that to him. I said, Dad, they moved us to one of the most agreed upon to be one of the most dangerous places in the world. It's almost like they tried to kill me or something. I said, Dad, why'd you never come to get us? And that's when he told me that she was told that. There's so many things that are put in Kim's head. They bring influencers, like no one ever knew where Corey Gamble came from. No one in the fashion world knows where Gabby came from. These people were practically made in a laboratory, in my opinion. And one of the things that they're really good at doing is being nice and being likable. And what they do is, for people that have some form of influence, whether it's an educated black woman like my mother that became the head of the English department at Chicago State University, or whether it's the most influential white woman on the planet, being my ex-wife, they have people that are around them at all times telling them what to be afraid of. It's like not what to do or say specifically, it's what to be afraid of. And if you have a person that isn't afraid of them, like a Russell Brand or Candace Owens,
right.
It's not that we have to agree with this, but
they're not afraid.
They're not afraid to state what their opinion is.
Yes.
No one is God, and everyone has an opinion.
So a conversation like this is a window into a world that you don't see. So if you're familiar with West from the media, you think of him as an individual man. What you don't think about is that he is at the center of a battle, and people like him are at the center of a battle to get a message out, mouthed by the lips of influencers like him and so many others, that extends a storyline on behalf of, well, in this case, the status quo. So there are a lot of people vying to make certain that people like him say the right things, and the consequences for not doing that are very severe. So for him to come out and say all lives matter, obviously, is a huge threat to a lot of people. Who are those people exactly? Well, we asked him, and he told us. That's next. Subscribe.
All right, y'all. I wasn't planning on watching the whole thing. All right. It just ended up being too interesting. All right. And so I had to finish the whole video. You know what I'm saying? But look, it is very possible that I discredited him unfairly. All right. So that is something I'm willing to rectify. I'm willing to change my opinion about Kanye West. And as a matter of fact, the whole hate for the MAGA movement very similar to Black Lives Matter movement. There's a stigma around it, that they're rioters, that they're all these other things. There's a stigma around the MAGA movement as well, and it's pretty much the same thing. That they're hateful, they're racist, they hate America, all these other things. Now, for me, I'm not going to look at someone who's wearing a hat that says MAGA on it or anything like that, and then say, "Oh, you're just a horrible person. You're this and you're that." What I believe is you have to look beyond vague labels, and MAGA is a vague label that to that person it could mean anything. Someone could wear that hat because they like how it looks. They like the letters MAGA, right? It could even be someone who has no idea what the letters stand for. They just like the color red. They like a red hat. All right? So don't go and attack people and hate on people for simply wearing a piece of clothing. All right? It's not right and it's not okay. If I see someone wearing a MAGA hat and they are physically attacking someone, then I'm going to say that person is not a good person because they're out here physically assaulting people. But if I see them simply saying, "I support Donald Trump," I'm not going to say, "Oh, that person's horrible, evil, and racist." I'm not going to say that. I have no idea what that person's motives are. I have no idea what they believe in. The only thing I know is that apparently they like Donald Trump. That does not make them evil and racist. Because keep in mind, to them, Donald Trump is not evil and racist and a horrible person. They don't see things that way, so therefore, they're not, you know what I'm saying? They're not going to fit into that category, and it's wrong for you to put them in that category. Don't fault people for simply seeing the world in a different way. They have the right to, support whoever the hell they want. It is still a free country. If they're doing something wrong, all right, then you can target them for that specific action. Okay? If you see them, if someone has a hat that they don't like and they run over, they knock their hat off, right? They throw it in the river. You could target them for that. You could say, "You were wrong for doing that. That is assault, and you should not put your hands on somebody simply because they're wearing something you don't like. That is not okay. You shouldn't treat people like that." That's perfectly fine to do. However, if they're not, assaulting anybody, if they're not doing anything wrong, leave that person alone. You understand? You can have a conversation with them and you could say, "So why do you not think Donald Trump is evil, horrible, and racist?" Have a conversation with them if it's that important to you. Or just let them go on about your day and leave that person alone. It does not matter all that much. You don't have to force people to see the world the way you do. You know what I'm saying? That is never going to work. Leave people alone. Let them live life how they want to live it. You live your life. If you want to have a conversation, then fine. But if things start getting heated, you got to learn that it's not that important. If you want to get upset, that's fine. I'll walk away. It's not that important to me to have a conversation with someone when they're getting upset. You know what I'm saying? If that starts happening, then you draw the line and say, "That's all right. Just have a good day, sir." And that's it. And just walk away. Be done with it. You don't have to go down that road and say, "You either agree with me or it's time to fight." That's bull. It's not that serious. You know what I'm saying? All right. What I need for you guys to understand, all right, this channel is to have discussions. I don't care what side of the aisle you're on, you will have a voice on my channel. As long as YouTube sees fit for what you're saying. Because YouTube can censor what people say in the comments. They definitely can. Alright, y'all. That's it for now.